From the New York City area, welcome to the Badass Counseling Show, where the master badass himself, Sven Erlandson, takes you deep and gives balm for the soul, baby.
Welcome to the Badass Counseling Show. You have reached the lightning round of our fine show here. It's so great to have you here. We are live at present on YouTube, on TikTok, and on Facebook, and it's so delightful to have you here. We presently have listeners checking in from Namibia, from Australia, from Tankahanik, from all over the U.S., from Canada, up in British Columbia. We've got folks from all over. It's so great to have you checking in with our show. And I'm joined in studio by my team, KC, over in the booth. And I'm about to introduce a new member of our team. She's actually been with the team for a while, but first time on the show. We rarely let her near the microphone. She's a wily one. And if you want to see what she looks like, you can tune in on YouTube. For those of you following on TikTok and Facebook, you'll have to catch the verbal on her. But I'm going to say hello to Rob the Rocket first, and we'll get to the third person first. Rob, how are you today?
I'm glad to have extra company in the studio. It makes it pleasant here, and a sunny day, and everything's fine.
Indeed.
Fine.
Any music references for me today, Rob?
I'm out of music today. I don't know what it is.
The day the music died.
Well, there we go.
I worked it.
There's one.
I worked it. You just gave me the point of reference, Buddy
Well
Holly.
played, sir. Well played.
And for those of you wondering who the new person is not a new person. She's been with us for quite some time. She has been our production assistant. She moonlights as our production assistant, but she's actually an artist full time, and she is known around these parts as Sophia the Artist. Sophia the Artist, what do you have to say for yourself?
I'm here to say good morning to everybody. Hope everyone's doing well.
See, you can understand why we love having her around. For about the first 10 seconds, and then she goes a little nutty. I'm teasing for the most part. All right, so it's great to have you here, Sophia, and we're going to get started. So we're going to just go ahead and dive right in. How do you hurt a narcissist besides leaving? He tries to discard me after devaluing me. All right, how do you hurt a narcissist besides leaving? Well, there are a lot of ways you could do it. I mean, all sorts of illegal ways, but I'm not going to get into those. But what you're showing me there by wanting to hurt someone is the real story. You're wanting to hurt someone thinking that if I can hurt someone, then what? Then I'll feel better, right? Or that if I can hurt you, then you'll give me something that I want. See, anybody who knows me and knows my work, you've heard me on my show a million times say that I don't refer to narcissists as narcissists. Why? It's such an overused phrase. It so is zapped of meaning, but for some people, the phrase works, so God bless them. It gives them language. I refer to them as extreme takers. So if you're saying, how do you hurt a narcissist besides leaving? He tries to discard me after devaluing me, right? He tries to discard me after devaluing me. All right, so he's been taking. And what you're saying is, I want to hurt him so that what? So that he'll change and want me. Oh, right. Your heart hurts. You want him to want you. You want him to be nice to you. That if I can just hurt him enough, either A, then he'll start being nice to me, or B, then I'll just feel better hurting him. But here's the problem. Revenge doesn't always feel as good as we think it's going to feel. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, don't count on him then meeting your needs, right? The bottom line is, how do you hurt a narcissist? If you're trying to hurt someone, do you know what that tells me? The single biggest thing that tells me, you have so much fucking rage and hurt inside of you. You are so fucking angry at this person for hurting you so much. And underneath anger is always pain. Anger is a response to perceived pain, right? Past pain, present pain, or perceived future pain. So it's an attempt to get back at someone, all right? And you're wanting to hurt him because he hurt you. That's how he keeps you looped in. And isn't it fascinating what your second sentence is? He tries. That's the best word in your whole write up there. How do you hurt a narcissist besides leaving? He tries to discard me after devaluing me. That's the best. He tries, but I don't let him. Think about that. I'm not going to let you discard me. I'm going to do everything so that you can't discard me. I need you so badly. I'm so desperate that I'm not going to let you discard me. I so need you to want me. That's how he takes advantage of you. When you've been conditioned years, decades ago, to believe that you aren't worth shit, that you don't matter, that you have no value? Do you know what we do when we're taught to believe that, conditioned to believe that about ourselves? We hold on to anyone who gives us even just the tiniest little teaspoonful of love. We hold on to that person because that love feels so good. I'm not going to let you walk away. You can hit me, you can hurt me, you can steal from me, you can cheat on me hundreds of times if you want to, but I'm not going to let you discard me. You said he tries to discard me, which means he doesn't succeed, which means he wants to walk away from you. Bottom line is, the mere fact that you say, how do you hurt a narcissist besides leaving, says you don't want to leave. You want him to change so that he'll start loving you. He's not going to do it. You want to know why? There's no pain point. You want to create enough pain so that he will change. And you haven't cracked that code yet. If I can just make him hurt enough, then he'll change and want to change and do something for me. There's nothing you can do. He is not going to change for you. As long as he keeps you in this relationship, he's got you in his loop and he owns you. And he's going to do anything he wants to do. And that's how he keeps you. And that's how he keeps taking advantage of you. You are stuck and you're going to stay stuck in this relationship with this narcissist. And it sucks. And you're going to try every manner. And the reason you're trying to do every manner to hurt him, to make him do one thing above all else. And what's that? Give you love. You're holding on to someone who has no interest in giving you love. And there's nothing you can do to get him to do it. And unfortunately, your pain, it boils down to this. And people who've read my book or counsel with me hear me say this all the time. If you follow the show, you've heard me say it a million times. Change will not occur until the pain gets bad enough. Your pain has gotten bad, but it has not gotten bad enough. It has not gotten so bad that you're willing to walk away. And so you're still stuck in the loop. You still think you can change him into meeting your needs. And as people are writing and commenting here, you can't walk. And they're saying you got to walk away. All right, next question. This is a great question. Flutterby on TikTok asked the question, why do you encourage us to have compassion for ourselves in parenting, Sven, but not for our own parents? All right, this is a great question. And I get, especially some of the posts that I've put up recently, this is a great question. Why do you encourage us to have compassion for ourselves in parenting, Sven, but not for our own parents? Okay. In order for you to become a better parent for your own children, the single most powerful thing you can do to become a better parent for your children, regardless of what age you are and regardless of what age your children are. I don't care if your children are 40 or 50. Because 40 and 50 and 60 and 70-year-olds, and I've counseled them all, they still want one thing from that parent. They still want that connection. They still want that love that they never got or never got enough of. Okay? And so the one thing you can do to most impact your children is to heal you and your own past, because it's your own past that's keeping you, that's blocking you from giving that love. Okay? So you have to have compassion for what's blocking you, is that you got the message at some point that your feelings don't matter. You don't matter. You aren't wantable. You aren't wanted. You aren't good enough. You aren't loved. Okay? And you got those messages back in your childhood. And you're saying, Flutterby, well, shouldn't I have compassion for my parents and what they went through? That's not the issue. Let's take that issue and let's put that to the side. We can come back to that later. Because what happens is the parent, your parent, okay, so now we're back to me as a child, or let's say you, Flutterby, as a child, okay? You were conditioned to believe that your feelings don't matter. Because look how bad I have it. I'm your dad, and I had it so hard. And my old man beat me. And so, hey, I don't want to hear about how bad you had it and that I hit you a few times and I told you were a piece of shit. Look how bad I had it. Okay? Now, I'm not apologizing for what I did. It's in the past. You're a 30-year-old woman now. Get over it. Okay, so what I'm fundamentally trying to do is I'm telling you that the feelings I experienced in my past as your parent are more significant than the feelings you experienced in your past as my child. The problem is that I'm appealing to you as a 30-year-old adult. Okay? And I'm saying you as an adult, you just got to understand that's how it is. What's never being heard in this whole equation, you as that 30-year-old right now, you are understanding what they went through as a child, but they're refusing to understand what you went through as a child. And what happens in this whole equation and what has been happening to so many children who are now adults is that their feelings from when they were 6 and when they were 11 and when they were 14 were never heard. were never given voice. They were never allowed out because mom's feelings were so big. Dad's life was so important. And the message the child got is your feelings don't matter. You got to walk on eggshells for the alcoholic father. You got to just keep quiet because mom's a raging fucking abuser or whatever it is. So now when you become an adult, you think, oh, well, mom did her best or, dad had a hard childhood. I don't give a fuck. I don't need you to ever confront your living, breathing parent and have some big confrontation in order for you to heal. All I need you to do is go back to that 6-year-old, that 9-year-old, and give them the opportunity to have their authentic feelings. And I'm sorry if someone is yelling at you and putting you down and telling you're a pathetic loser or you're going to grow up a dirty whore just like your mother. One of your natural feelings is sadness. One of the natural feelings you will feel is anger and rage. One of the natural feelings you will feel is horror and shock. Those are all natural responses. If somebody walked up to, let's say, a 14-year-old girl randomly on the street and said, you're an ugly whore loser, what is she likely to feel? What would be the natural responses that a person would feel? Or if somebody walked up to, let's say, a 11-year-old boy as he's, walking out of church, let's say, walking down the street to his house, and somebody walked up to him and said, you're the dumbest little fuck on earth. You're so stupid. Look how ugly you are. What's the natural response going to be? He's going to start crying. He's going to say, no, I'm not. You're a jerk. You're mean. I hate you. Those would be all natural responses. Our feelings are natural. But if you grow up in a home where you are not allowed to get your feelings out, where do those feelings go? They got to go somewhere, right? If your dog dies, you cry. That is a natural response. We just taped an episode today of a child that we taped a counseling episode of a child that had cancer and died when she was 4 years old. The sadness, the grief, the guilt, all the different feelings that the parents felt, that the siblings felt, all natural responses. So wouldn't it be a natural response of a child growing up of parents who didn't do their fucking job or who maybe were abusive? Wouldn't it be natural responses that they would feel sad, anger, rage, hatred, longing, betrayal, all those feelings? But if that child was never allowed to get their feelings out, right? Because mom and dad were going through their shit and, they had their childhood and, they did their best. They weren't allowed to get their feelings out. And now they're 30 or now they're 40. And they're still not allowed to get their feelings out because they are supposed to understand what mom and dad are going through. So here I am at 30 or 40 and I'm still not allowed to get my feelings out because I'm supposed to take what mom and dad were going into account. What they were going through into account. So yet again, mom and dad's shit is still more important than that kid's fucking feelings. So how is this 30 or 40-year-old supposed to heal that shit from the childhood? And this is where we get into generational trauma because now the shit that 7-year-old went through, that 37-year-old still has in them. And guess what? I don't give a fuck what you think you're doing deliberately. Even if you think you're doing the exact opposite of your parents, that shit you went through at 7 and 17 is bleeding out onto your kids, whether you think it is or not. I guarantee it. That's why Flutterby asked this brilliant question on TikTok. She asked, why do you encourage us to have compassion for ourselves in parenting, but not for our own parents? You can have compassion for them later all you want. The person I most want compassion for in all cases is the child. And most people will defend their parents to the death when they're looking back at their own childhood. Oh, my parents this, they did this, they did that. But at the expense of their own childhood self getting their own natural feelings out. That's it. And then if you want to go understand your parents later, but it's going to be harder to understand them later. You want to know why? Because you're going to realize, motherfucker, it's always been about your feelings. It's always been about your feelings. And the mere fact that you still, mom or dad, want me to focus on you and just be understanding of you says you're still trying to silence my fucking feelings. The mere fact you're still taking that stance today confirms that you were doing it back fucking then. God damn it. All right, next question.
All right, Sven, over on YouTube, an interesting one here from Rebecca, who says, I've been asked to be a sponsor in AA. I feel split about it because how do I help someone when I'm still working on myself?
I love that. Rebecca, that's a great question. You're in AA, somebody's asked you to be a sponsor, and you're like, how the fuck can I do this when I'm still sorting through my shit? A couple of answers to that. One, there's an old saying, you can take it or leave it. We teach best what we most need to learn. All right. And then there's a quote. I actually read it in our the small group we have a Badass Counseling group on Facebook. It has about 40,000 members, and Sophia, the artist, she's one of the moderators in the group. But we have a more intimate subscription-based community called Community Plus on the website, and we were doing a Q&A that we do just for Community Plus, and I read a quote from Rabbi Harold Kushner, who wrote a couple of international bestsellers. One of them back in the 90s. One was When Everything You Wanted Isn't Enough, and Why Bad Things Happen to Good People. And he basically tells the story. To sum it up, it's similar to a saying I've said all the way along that, I don't claim to have all the answers. I'm just one beggar trying to show another beggar where to find food. Okay, Rebecca? It's not that you have all the answers. It's just that you know some of the mistakes that you've made. And in AA, you've made some mistakes and you've found some things that work and some things that don't work. That's all. That's all you can be expected to give is what you know, and to admit what you don't know, and to, admit this worked for me, this didn't work for me. That's all. All anyone's asking for in AA is your honesty. But here's the thing. You've got to ask yourself the question, is the reason I don't want to do it, is it because I'm afraid? Or is the reason I don't want to do it because I just don't want to do it? And that's okay too. There's nothing wrong with that. And put a percentage on each of those. And if it's mainly just because I'm afraid, well, that's a different thing. Because sometimes the things we most wanted, that may say, I still want to do it, I'm just afraid. Well, that's okay. Nothing wrong with being afraid. Or is it that it doesn't feel right? Well, that's okay. Then that would be ultimately a good reason to not do it. Sometimes in life, it just feels like one more thing. I'm not ready for it yet. And that's okay. But if you're just doing it because you're a little afraid, well, journal out some of those fears, flush it out, and you may be ready at that point. But sometimes the best answer in life, in fact, these are the people in life that I respect the very most. It's the people who have the courage to say 3 magic words. I don't know. The people I often respect least are the people who ramble on when it's clear they don't really know and they're just making shit up. They just have an opinion. Versus, you know what? I don't know. And it's okay to say that even in AA, even when you're someone's sponsor. All right, next question. Here's a good one. This is from C. Jowens 771 on TikTok. My ex-wife has tried to ruin my career and life since 2019 just for seeing my kids. Will it stop? That's a great question. C. Jowens, I have actually lived through that. Mine lasted about 10 years. I've lived it. I know the hell that you're going through. And I'm going to tell you this. Every person is different, obviously. That happened when my children were young. My divorce happened back in 96. And I can tell you that today, in almost 30 full years later, that the separation happened in 95. So we're actually this year, 30 years later, my children and I, now they're in their 30s. I'm so blessed. I have a rich and fulfilling relationship with both my kids and their spouses. We take vacations together. I work with one of my kids. Well, both my kids, actually. They do some work for me, and it's just satisfying. All you can do is keep bringing the love to your kids. Keep fighting through it. That's your job, but it's your joy, and your kids will see it. One of the things I tell people, I knew when my kids were very young, all I had to do was last until they were 35. I told myself, I have one thing on my side, and that's time. And that's a silly thing to say, why 35? Because it's about 35, roughly, ballpark, when people really begin to see life through adult eyes. And some people can say, I saw it when I was 20. Maybe. Something changes around our mid to late 30s. And your kids will see. They'll see you for who you are. They will at some point see them for who they are. Someone impacted one of my kids. It was when they got to college. Changed how they saw life. You'll see. It'll happen. And it sucks. The waiting sucks. And the slings and arrows that you are having to endure. But you'll see. And keep working it, Dad. And I'm sorry it's so hard. And it sucks and it blows. And you need to be flushing out all your feelings through your journaling and writing letters to her that you don't send, all your fucking rage, all your sadness, writing letters to your kids and all the sorrow that you feel. Just keep flushing it out. You're going to be fine. Long term, you're playing the long game, Dad. Just play the fucking long game. Next question. This is from Melanie Freilich. How does one walk away when you own everything and they live in my house? Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. You know, it's so funny. This just came up this week. I was counseling a friend of mine over this exact topic. And this particular friend said, you know what, Sven, I am at the point where I don't even fucking care anymore. Just take the shit. Just get the fuck out of my life. In fact, this guy said, you know what? And they signed the papers. And he said, Sven, I would have paid fucking double. I am so sick of this relationship. I'm so sick of the bullshit, the lies. I'm just so sick of it. And how do you do it? Melanie, you do it methodically. Methodically, bit by bit. You find your courage. You make the list of the things that are actually non-negotiables for you, the things you don't want to let go of, and you don't reveal your cards. Never let your opponent know the things that are non-negotiables for you. Why? Because that's what they'll hold out for. All right. And maybe you reach the point where it's like you have no non-negotiables and you just want to get the hell out. But don't let them know that either, because then they'll just string you the fuck along. All right. But at some point, you just take the steps. And sometimes in life, we have to be willing to lose everything. And in a way, that's the entrepreneur's mentality. You got to be willing to fail. You know, it's like swinging the baseball bat. You step up to the plate. You got to be willing to strike out. You know, you got to swing for the fence. You got to you're trying to get on base, man. All right, next question. DW asked the question, and I believe this is on YouTube. Is that right, Sophia? TikTok. DW, I got Sophia going through TikTok, pulling some of them because they scroll so fast, you guys. So I really appreciate this. And I've got Rob monitoring YouTube. She says, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. So is that not worth fighting for? DW says. DW, no, it's not worth fighting for. Flat answer. The simple fact of the matter is this, DW. If someone else doesn't want to build a relationship, this notion of fighting for a relationship, you're just punching at the air. There's nothing, you're not fighting for anything. You can't make someone fall in love with you guys. That is a myth. That is nonsense. It's nonsense. You walk away, and it's hard as fuck, okay? You got to, and the only thing that's going to enable you to walk away, DW, is you got to flush out all your feelings, because what's keeping you tethered, stuck with her, is all those fucking feelings you have inside of you. The love, the hate, the sadness, the disappointment, maybe the betrayal, the hatred, whatever it is, you got to be flushing those out. In your journaling, you should be writing her letters you don't send. Flush, 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 and it'll be easier to let go. We let go by holding on as tightly as we can. Go to all those restaurants you used to love to go to together. Watch your favorite movies. You know, wear her favorite pair of underwear that you used to find so sexy on her. Whatever you do that conjures up feelings of her, flush that shit out. Flush it out. Write it out. Write it out. Write it out. Write it out. And it's going to help you release and let go. But no, you can't make someone love you. I mean, that's just, it would be nice if we could, but you can't. All right. What have we got? Why
don't we take a break?
You know, I've read so many self-help books, and I always get something good out of them. But when I dove into There's a Hole in My Love Cup, well, it changed me. I cannot recommend this book highly enough. My copy is very dog-eared and highlighted. Thanks, Sven, for writing it. I love There's a Hole in My Love Cup, and believe you will also. Order your copy at badasscounseling.com.
Are you longing to feel connected and not so alone? Longing to be happy and more alive? Badass Counseling is excited to announce the creation of Community Plus, a subscription-based private group of folks just wanting to more closely share their soul journey together with like-minded folks and with me, Sven. For a monthly fee, you'll get bi-monthly live Q&As with me, Sven, giving you a better chance of getting your own questions answered. A private community feed for you to post pictures, successes, struggles, joys, even the occasional cat picture, creating greater connection and help for healing and growth. Random drawings for free small group sessions and drawings for private coaching sessions with me. Priority access to becoming a guest on the Badass Counseling Show podcast. Unlimited access to my DIY video courses, Healing the Soul and Unleashing Your Greatness. And so much more. Community Plus is for people serious about their soul journey who want real growth, real help, real laughter, real connection, and true community. Join us now at badasscounseling.com.
This show provides soul counseling intended to entertain and inform and is not medical advice. Now, back to the badass.
All right, here we go. GBullet52 says on TikTok, I broke her trust and she doesn't want to talk. I love her so much. How do I fix it? Now, GBullet52, just as a brief aside, my brain goes to, does break her trust technically mean that you cheated on her? I'm just curious. Because if it did, that's a beast of a different stripe. But trust is a beach, you guys. It is the biggest animal in the zoo when it comes to relationships. There's nothing bigger. It's not love, it's trust. Everything is trust. You breach that, and it takes 10 times as long to get it back. So to answer your question, I love her so much. How do you fix it? Time, effort is the only shot you got. No amount of slick talk or salesmanship is going to get her back. And if you're trying to slick talk it in salesmanship, and I were her therapist, I would tell her to trust you even less. And if you're trying to pressure her into getting back, or, I'm changing, look at everything I'm doing, look at me, and I'm doing this, and I promise, and you're making all these promises, I'd say trust you even less. The only shot you have is to let her go. Do you want to know why? Because it'll shock her. Because you're trying so hard to get her back right now. Let her go. Do your work. Change you. I strongly, in that vein, recommend that you get the book, There's a Hole in My Love Cup, and start fucking doing the work. Why? Because when I say change you, I don't mean your fucking behaviors. I mean the core beliefs driving the behavior. Because that's where the breach of trust started. It started in what's going on inside of you. Those core beliefs, because that's what drives behaviors up on the surface. Trying to change behaviors never changes behaviors long term. I spent an entire chapter just on that fucking point right there. You'll always rubber band back to your old behaviors. You got to fucking change you, dude. And until you do that, it's not going to change. And then if you do change, she'll hear about it. You won't even have to sell her. She'll get wind, or the gods, or God, or the universe will have you guys cross paths, and she'll sense it, and she'll know it. But you don't like that answer, and I wouldn't like that answer either if I were writing into a show and somebody said that to me. Why? Because it takes you out of control. It gives control to sort of the universe. And it sucks. And you want to be able to control it because you want her so badly. So really what I recommend you do, in addition to healing yourself and getting the book and the workbook for that at badasscounseling.com, what I recommend you do then is you got to start flushing out all your feelings, because that's what's keeping you holding on to her, and you're not going to let go, and it's going to rip your fucking heart out. So let it rip your heart out while you're flushing out your feelings of how much you love her and how much you long for her and how great her ass is, and you know how you respect her and how pretty she is and how sorry you feel and how mad you are that she's not taking you back. All your feelings, flush out all your feelings, man. And you got to keep doing it, because otherwise you're going to stay tethered to her. And worse, not only are you going to stay tethered to her, at some point when she doesn't take you back, you're going to find yourself in a new relationship, but you won't have flushed her out of you. And you'll put on a good show and you'll think you're a pastor, but you're not, because you'll still have those feelings. They didn't magically go away just because you're in a new fucking relationship. So now you're going into a new relationship with still feelings packed down for an old relationship and those core beliefs down deep inside you that drove the problems to begin with. So you're walking into this new relationship like this little walking time bomb, and all these accrued old feelings. So you're doing a disservice to your new partner and to any new relationship you build. I guarantee that one's going to fucking crumble or blow up or something as well. Folks, this is why therapists, they're not just being silly and say, oh, take some time to be alone. They're not just saying dopey shit. There's a reason we take time to be alone. It's to do this fucking work so that you're not dragging your shit into the next fucking relationship. All right. Next question. Rob, you got anything over there on YouTube?
I got a good one, I think. It's from, let's see, Brittany, who says, why do we fawn over partners after we stand up for ourselves in narcissistic relationships?
Because we're afraid of them leaving us. Because if it's a narcissistic relationship, or what I call extreme takers, if you're an extreme taker, if you're in a relationship with an extreme taker, you're likely an extreme giver. And the one thing extreme givers hate doing is standing up for themselves. Confrontation. That they really hate the most is conveying the underlying message, I matter. Why? Because you got the message. You're not allowed to ever say those words or even imply those words. So the moment you stand up to an extreme taker and say, I matter, you feel guilty and you're terrified. You were terrified before you even had the thought, at the mere thought of standing up and saying, I matter to a narcissist or an extreme taker. You're terrified at the thought of it, but then you actually did it. And now you're terrified afterwards because you're terrified they're going to fucking leave you. You had the brass balls to matter? What are you, out of your fucking mind? You're insane. You're terrified they'll leave you. But the mere fact that you finally found those words, I matter. Even if you didn't say those words, that's not the point. That's the underlying message you sent to the universe. You shouted to the heavens, no, this isn't okay. I will not be treated this way anymore. I fucking matter. The mere fact that you found that says that's how bad it's gotten. That you broke a long time pattern of behavior, probably dating all the way back to your childhood. You had the balls to finally fucking do it. That's how bad your pain has gotten. That's how shitty their treatment has been. That's how much they've zapped you, sapped you, sucked the blood out of you. And that's how resounding the voice rising up from your own soul is saying, I matter. And that's a beautiful fucking thing. You need to be flushing out your feelings of fear. Fear of them leaving. Fear of being alone. It's not just being alone. Oh, I can not have someone in the same room as me. Fear of not having someone. And the reason you so want to have someone is because when you have someone, it confirms your worth. If you don't have someone, if they walk away, oh, see, I don't matter. See, I'm no good. See, no one wants me. But when they come back, it's like, oh, and all those messages from your past, all those voices inside your fucking head, they go away or they get quieted. But the second that person walks away, they come roaring up and they churn and churn and churn in your fucking head. Right? Right. All right. Next question.
A lot of wisdom there, dude. I mean, there's always a lot of wisdom, but there, I think, especially so.
All right. Do you think addiction is a symptom of greater trauma? Indisputably. Yes. I'm betting you wanted more than that. Yeah, it is. Absolutely. And it's fundamentally this. Generally speaking, most times, this is my life. And for those of you who can't see me right now, I'm putting my hands together like I'm making a globe. All right? This is my life. And so the addiction, let's say it's bulimia, binging and purging, or let's say it's booze. Let's say it's extreme gaming, constantly, or overparenting, overworking, gambling, cheating, swiping and scrolling incessantly for billions of hours every day. Okay, whatever it is, that's my escape from this life. Okay? Well, why the fuck would I want to escape my life? Well, clearly my life sucks so badly. Okay? So many people, you go to rehab or whatever it is, they want to get you to stop that escape, stop the bulimia, stop the booze, stop the whatever. But that's just the escape. In a way, that escape has been your best fucking friend. It's been the one thing that it's enabled you to shut off your brain, to escape the shitty life you've been living. Okay? In a way, it's been your best friend. So what I really have to do is change that life, change that globe that is my life, so that I no longer have a need for that best friend, that one thing that's given me that escape. Well, where did that life come from? It had to have come from fucking somewhere. Nobody would choose to create a shitty life, right? I would choose to create a life that makes me happy. That life comes from being conditioned to believe, as I talk about in the book, There's a Hole in My Love Cup, being conditioned to believe one of three things, or more likely two or three of three things, as I talk about in the chapters on binary gates. I'm not wanted, i.e. I'm not wantable. I'm not loved, or I'm not good enough, something like that. And then the third one, the most powerful one, is I don't matter, or the real me doesn't matter. Those messages, when taught to a person, they get pressed into the wet cement of your soul. And they harden and they calcify. They become what I call your core beliefs. And the virus infecting the operating system into a young child or a teen that they don't even see, and they run the operating system for the rest of your life. They can be conveyed by the alcoholic parent, by the parent who neglects the child, by the parent who never listens, by the parent who dumps all their problems onto the child, by the parent who overworks and never wants to come home, by the parent who divorces the parent, and all of a sudden my girlfriends and my gambling are all that matters to me, or the parent who finds a new spouse and all of a sudden doesn't want to be with her son anymore, or whatever it is, are conveying those messages, and the child gets the message. Therefore, I then start drinking when I'm 14, or I start, or I get married when I'm 17 just to have someone who will love me. But then I engage in all sorts of behaviors in that relationship, or I let someone treat me poorly. Yes, absolutely. The addictions are the symptoms of something down deeper, which is why in my work, in my counseling, I go very, very, very deep down to core beliefs. And until you get down to those core beliefs, you're not solving the actual fucking problem. Next question. All right. Oh, you got it one? All right. Sophia, the artist, has one.
I got a good one.
From
TikTok, Ufi says, can you give advice for a 24-year-old male, never had a girlfriend and feel ashamed to spend all of my time alone?
All right. You're sort of asking you're bringing up two different things there. Ufi is the name. Can you give advice on finding a girlfriend? I feel ashamed to be 24 years old and spending all of my time alone. Okay. There are two things going on there. One, how do I find a girlfriend? But two, I'm spending all my time alone and I feel ashamed about that. Ufi, forgive me for asking what may be a silly question, and no offense intended. It's an honest question. Why would you be ashamed to spend all of your time alone? There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, literally, I get people commenting on my videos and people in counseling, for instance, who have been through really bad relationships or who are later on in life or even in middle life or even young people who maybe have had a lot of crazy stuff in their life or trauma or just the nature of who they are, and they prefer to be alone. There's no shame in being alone. It's funny. I showed my girlfriend a TikTok video recently, or it wasn't a video. It's one of these where it just shows the pictures, and it showed the top 10 countries in the world where people live alone the most. And what's fascinating is the top 5 countries, I believe all of the top 5 were Scandinavian countries, my people. Swedes, Norwegians, Danes, Finns, they're just people who prefer to be alone. Okay, Ufi. So maybe you're just a person who just prefers to be alone. Is it possible, my friend, that that's okay? What I'm trying to understand is, where is the shame coming from? Right? Is it possible someone is shaming you, making you feel bad for something that maybe just feels good to you? And who are they to make you feel bad? Thanks, Brandon. Who are they, and Nikki, who are they to make you feel bad? Where is that voice coming from? Is it your friends? Is it society? Is it your mom? Is it your dad? Is it your buddies? Who the fuck is shaming you? And then furthermore, and I'm just sort of being a bit aggressive here, but why are you hanging out with people who make you feel bad about yourself? Now, I also want to ask you this, though. Are you spending so much time alone because you're afraid to get out there? And afraid to spend more time in public? And maybe you aren't. What?
He says, it's more than I want relationships, and I'm ashamed I can't find them.
All right. That's okay. And here's what I'm going to tell you then. He says, I want relationships. I'm just ashamed that I can't find them. It's an organic process, and I know it sucks. I've been young before too, and you want it. And even when, you get older, middle age, or even old, you want a relationship. A woman I know is going through a divorce, and she's in her late 60s. And she's like, I just want a relationship now. And she just got out of one. And it was a 20-year marriage. She's like, I just want the next relationship. And it's understandable. So it's not just being young. It's a natural thing for a lot of people. Not everyone. So it's very natural. And you want it now. And so what you need to be doing, Ufi, really, and I know you want tips for how to meet people, all right? There are plenty of sites out there, there are dating sites and so on and so forth. I'm trying to solve a different problem. I want you to go inside yourself, Ufi, and I want you to be flushing out your feelings of shame, your feelings of inadequacy, that I can't make it happen, your fears, your longing. I want a girl so bad. I want a girl so bad. I just want someone who will love me. I want someone I can hold hands with. That's beautiful shit, man. I used to journal that shit all the time. And then also you need to be journaling about trusting the organic process of dating, while also putting yourself out there. I met my present girlfriend. We've been together 11 years. We met when I was 46. I'm presently 57. Best relationship of my life so far. And I met her on a dating website. I was living on the West Coast in Oakland, California, San Francisco Bay Area, and she was living in New York City. She grew up in the Bronx, right? And I'm a believer in online stuff. Now, I don't know what it's like for your generation, et cetera, et cetera. Sophia, you got any thoughts on this generation and dating and so on and so forth? You're in a relationship. Did you meet online?
I am in a relationship, and we did not meet online, but that is not to say that I haven't met plenty of my previous relationships and friendships from being online.
Good ones?
Pretty good ones, yeah, definitely. Some of my best friends are people that I've met online through social media, through other people. But I was also answering a question on the TikTok feed. Someone posed the question if something about society is what shames us into like not having relationships. And I'm sure that especially being a young man, I'm only 25, so I know a good few people who are in my age range that are men and young males. And I think it's very difficult right now for young men to be making relationships in the age of technology and also in, post-COVID. And also it's difficult for, I think, young men in general to understand how to feel their feelings deeply and understand how to communicate those things. And that can definitely be a big relationship block, no matter if it's friends or lovers or whatever.
That's exactly right. And I think that's a really great point, Sophia. Thank you. And so ultimately, we're getting those, you getting outside messages is never going to stop. And the truth is, Ufi, and this is for all of us, because you're not the only one going through dating issues right now in your life. And the truth is that you've got messages inside of you as well from your past. And the task in life is to be always flushing out those external voices. As I talk about in my book, Ufi, and if you haven't read it, you got to read the fucking book. Not just because I'm schlepping fucking books, because the book will fucking change your life. Don't fucking listen to me. Go to fucking Amazon. There's like 1,500 fucking reviews, and like most of them are 5-star reviews, because it'll change your fucking life. Because what does it force you to do? It forces you to get the shit out, because it's all that, those voices, they get in us. Whether it's society or parents or your buddies, those dickhead buddies of yours, you love them, but they can be dicks. You got to get that out, because that's beating you down inside. It's hard enough already, but it's beating you down. And the more you get that out, then the process can actually become fun. And that's what it should be. And fun and organic and more relaxed and trusting that it'll work. That when it's right, the gods or the universe, they'll have the right person cross your paths. Can I tell you what changed for me? Can I tell you something that changed for me, Ufi? One of the biggest shifts, and I was older. No one ever explained this shit to me. But when I was older, one of the biggest insights I had, I was living in Los Angeles at this point, and it was after my second marriage. Yeah, 2 divorces. I'm a real fucking piece of work, all right? Anyway, and I used to really get worked up when I'd see a woman that I was attracted to, and it's like, oh, I should ask her out, and and I get so angsty inside, and you're afraid she's going to say no, and it's hard. I'd been getting turned down since I was 12 years old. Your average guy is getting probably 10 no's for every yes he ever gets, at least, right? So you reach a point, it's like, fuck yeah, it's not worth it. But anyway, I was living in LA. One of the grand benefits of living in LA is if there's a pretty girl walking by, or a girl who's really great smile, and you really want to approach her, but it's like, and you feel bad because she walked away and you didn't approach her. It's like fucking a minute later, there's going to be somebody with just as nice a smile or just as charming a personality. And then what it taught me is, there's 100 million people out there, man. Just fucking relax. It's going to happen. And it enabled me to trust, and enabled me to understand the process is organic. Ufi, there are going to be plenty of women that cross your path. There are. And I know you feel maybe unwantable or not good enough, or like you should have someone right now. It's going to work out. But the more tension and stress and self-shame that I bring to the process, the more I lock up inside. So you've got to begin to flush out all your crap. Again, just get the book. Just trust me. All right. Just get the fucking book. Do the work. All right. Next question. Jeremy says, what's the ideal pace to go through the book? Your pace. Just do all the exercises. Do them. And let the point isn't the speed. The point is the depth. The depth. Do all the exercises. Do them in writing. Yeah, Flutterby says, Flutterby 1981 says, what about compassion for ourselves, for our own unhealed parenting? Should we have it? Absolutely. Absolutely. My mother, who raised 6 kids, and, she was born in 1928, and, she was a teacher in the 40s, and by the 80s, 90s, she's teaching at the graduate level in early childhood education and so forth. She used to say, she used to tell me that it was into her 70s when she still felt guilt about, some of her parenting of us kids. She was a fucking incredible parent. Anybody who knows her would agree. Anybody who knows her. And my dad, great parent as well. All right. And one of the things you've heard me say before on the show is that guilt is the beginning of good parenting. Or as I used to say, guilt is the mark of good parenting, or the mark of the beginning of good parenting. Why? Because that's when you feel guilt about your parenting, it's a sign that you're reflecting on your parenting. And one of the things I've found over decades of counseling people is that, in a way, the bad parents, quote unquote, are the parents who never reflect on their parenting. They're like, fuck it, I'm good. I did my best. No, I don't ever have to look at my parenting. No, I'm a great parent. That's someone who doesn't want to look at their shit. That's someone who wants the kid to eat the shit, even if the kid is 50 now, right? Mark of good parenting is, fuck, I did this, fuck, I did that. All right. But my mom said, I felt guilty in my 70s, but she also said I should have forgiven myself a long time ago. Why? Well, my mom was, pastor's wife, and she was a Christian. And so her language, she used sort of Christian language, but I think you'll get the point. And her language was because, the Lord wanted me to be happy and live a rich, full life. And I was allowing my own. God had forgiven me, and I had asked for God's forgiveness, but I wasn't allowing myself to be forgiven. I wasn't accepting that forgiveness. And so as a result, I was allowing it to drag me down. God wasn't. I was allowing it. Now, that was her language, but I think you get the point. You're robbing yourself of life. And when I rob myself of life, well, then if you really care about parenting, then you're robbing your own children of life as well. So you've got to be willing to take those rocks out of your love cup. All right, next question. Here's a great one. 21, Mia.love21. Mia clearly likes the number 21. Water in all capital letters. So she is shouting, wanting our attention, saying this is a very important question. And she puts about 20 red flags after it. So what do you think it's going to be about? Yep. In all capital letters, she says, what are some red flags in online dating? All right. I am not going to address particularly red flags in online dating in the way you want me to address them. Okay? I'm going to address red flags. And I'm simply going to say this. If you do the work of healing your own past, if you do the work of flushing out all your pain, your fears, and your bullshit beliefs you've been taught about yourself, you detect, and that last one is the most important, the bullshit beliefs you've been taught about yourself from your childhood. That means deconstructing the home that you grew up in, specifically what was normalized for you about love. Think about that. Few things are going to screw up your love relationships more than what was normalized for you about love, what you were taught love is. I put up a post about 2 weeks ago, and it was about when you should divorce. If you're planning to divorce, that's the caveat. If and only if you are already planning to divorce, should you divorce when the children are young, or should you divorce when the children are, 18 or they've left the house? And I come down very hard on that and say divorce now. If you already know you're going to divorce, and then 1,000 people, literally thousands of people commented and said, don't get a divorce, that you're quitting, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, hey, dumbass, you missed the point of the fucking video. I said, if you already know you're going to divorce. Okay, so what's my point? My point is the kids will recover, blah, blah, blah. How does that relate to this fucking question? Why did I bring that the fuck up? Fuck me. I lost my thread there. God damn it. All right. Anyway, back to, sorry. It'll come to me. Anyway, what are some red flags? The bottom line is you got to flush your shit out. Why? Because when you flushed your shit out, when you get into the dating process, you can hear your own voice. Oh, it's normalizing. That's what it is. It's normalizing what love is. If you stay together for your kids in an unloving home, even if you guys get along, husband and wife, but it's an unloving home where it's not a love relationship, it's just like a coexistence relationship, you are teaching your children that's what love is. And they will replicate that relationship or some derivative of that in their relationships, in their marriages. And as a result, just as you're not experiencing love in your marriage, you already know you want to get a divorce. Obviously, it's not a relationship you want to be in. Obviously, it's not a relationship that feeds your own needs for love. So you're saying that's the relationship I want my children to have when they're older, and that's the relationship they're going to recreate. Okay, so that being said, back to the red flags in dating. If that was normalized, or some version of love was normalized for you as a child that was not a loving home, or it was abusive, or you were walking on eggshells or whatever, you're going to overlook those things, not see them, or you are going to minimize those things when you get into relationships later or when you're dating. So those red flags, they may be whipping by, but you don't even fucking see them. Or you're going to say, oh, it's no big deal, right? Or you're going to say, oh, I'm sure she'll change. Okay. So what I'm talking about is if you actually do the work of your past, which is why you guys always hear me hammering on this. If you actually do the work of healing your past, then you have the secret weapon. You have the superpower. And what is that? You can hear your own intuition. You can feel it. So when you're on a date, and even if it's just talking to someone on social media, and remember, I met my present girlfriend that we've been together 11 years on social media, okay? You can feel when something feels off. And when you've done the inner work, you realize, I'm going to trust that. You don't say, oh, I'm sure it'll go away, or it's no big deal, or, I'll give him 7 more chances. You're trusting that intuition. You're trusting the intuition rather than, oh, I should, or, my friends are telling me I really ought to. No, if it doesn't feel right to you, don't fucking do it. All right, next question. All right, Raul says, happy Saturday, handsome man. Wishing you a wonderful day filled with love and laughter. How about that? Well, thank you, Raul. Rob, he thinks you're handsome.
Thought he was talking to you.
I thought he was talking to you.
All right, we'll argue about this later.
All right.
Rob is single, by the way. But
Rob is single.
Just putting that out there.
Just putting it out there. Rob is now single, people. Rob, do you identify as?
I'm seriously in trouble now. No, I'm a he, him.
You're a he, him, identifying as preferring what sorts of humans? Or
he,
animals?
Him prefers she, her.
All right, very good. Very good. And all right, I'm going to open this one up to the team.
This is the last one, so make it good.
All right, this is good. Mary Beth on TikTok asked the question, what do you think about recent casual relationships with a long-term friend? Now, by casual, I'm going to assume you mean, Mary Beth, including humpy, right? I mean, because if it's a long-term friend, then why do you say casual relationships? You already have a relationship, a friendship, so you don't mean a friendship. You're saying, what do you think about having, right, humpy with a long-term friend?
Friend with benefits.
Right.
Horizontal rumba, whatever you want to say.
Wow, I've not heard that one. Any thoughts, guys, on a little humpy with a long-term friend?
It's a good way to lose a friendship, in my opinion.
Why do you say that? Do you say that from personal experience? Maybe you
yes,
do.
Yeah.
You've lost a long-term friend.
No, I haven't, because I have not crossed that line.
So it's a fear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, so what if the relationship doesn't go well and you break up? Is it still going to be your friend? I don't think so.
But what if the old In-N-Out burger is really good, or how about just the in?
And so you stay with the person? Well, that's fine, but what are the odds? Do you want to lose such a great friend? I do have that fear.
Okay, but then what are the odds you're going to lose the friend? If it's such a great friendship, why would you lose it? Hey, we tried it didn't work, let's go back to the friend. What are the odds you're going to lose it?
I guess that's possible. I'm not sure I can see it, but you could be right.
I don't know.
You're usually right.
No, nonsense. Sophia, weigh in here.
I have a feeling that I probably have more experience in this area than most people I know.
Whoa. You put that out there. We get to dig now. All right, but go ahead and make your point.
I have crossed that threshold with some friends, and I have lost those friendships.
There we go.
I've also crossed that threshold with my current partner, and we've now been together for ongoing 2 years.
Well, listen to that. A living, breathing success story.
So there's definitely the opposite side of the coin. But then again, I'm also someone who identifies as being in non-monogamous relationships, and so that is also kind of the flip side is you can definitely have a friendship with someone post coitus, if you will, but sometimes it's rare if you don't have those skills of communication and boundaries and all that good stuff.
Or skills of sex. I mean, think about it. You have a great friendship, and what if, he's just not that good in bed? Oh, fucking, or she's not. Then what? And, we so seldom hear the word coitus on the show. It's a delight to work that in now and then.
Fuck.
We hear that one plenty. So how about that, folks? We just heard it from both sides of the coin. It works. It doesn't work. So I guess, and this is life, isn't it? I mean, let's just remember. Can I just remind everyone of one thing? Can we all just take just a bit of a check here? And the check is this. We are on a rock somewhere out in not even the middle of nowhere, just out in nowhere. All right? You get about 70 or 80 years, maybe more, maybe a bit less, to dance across this stage on this rock. Enjoy it. God, don't live in fear. Why? Just engage life. For God's sakes, just be alive. This whole show is ultimately about helping you move towards greater aliveness. Well, folks, I hope we have inched you there. Maybe an inch or two, maybe some miles. Who the fuck knows? But as always, if you need help getting to greater aliveness, there's a hole in my love cup and Badass Wisdom. They are both available on badasscounseling.com, as well as the workbook. And just so you are aware, there's a hole in my love cup is also now available in Spanish and French, and we'll be having a German translation done soon. And so go check those out on badasscounseling.com. If you think I'm full of shit, don't. Or go to Amazon, read the 1,500 whatever reviews, and see what those people think. And if you still think I'm full of shit, then write in to our contact page and tell me how full of shit I really am. And my assistant will read that, and she'll come and say, hey, we had 400 people today saying you're full of shit. So we're a bit down from yesterday. So I'll feel good about that. So anyway, on behalf of my fantastic team, who regularly reminds me, as did my 4 older brothers and my older sister, that I am, in fact, full of shit, KC over in the booth with the twisted ankle, and Rob the Rocket, Sophia the artist. Any final words, you fine humans?
I'm exhausted.
I'm hot.
Yes, sitting in the sun. A little warm. All right, folks, it's been so great to all of our friends in Australia and Austria, South Africa, and up in my Scandinavian countries, Canada, and everywhere else. Have a kick-ass day.
The Badass Counseling Show is strictly copyrighted. No copies may be made without the express written consent of the Badass Counseling Show, LLC. The Badass Counseling Show is produced by Karen Camparelli and Robert H. Friedman. Executive producer Sven Erlandson. Original music by 2-time Emmy Award-winning composer Trevor Morris. Have a kick-ass day.